Dr. Deepak, and we are going to continue our lecture of eyeball. In the previous two lectures, we have discussed about the external coat and middle coat of the eyeball. In the external coat, we have discussed the sclera and the cornea, and in the middle coat, we have discussed the choroid, the ciliary body, and the iris. Now, today we are going to discuss about the inner coat of the eyeball, which is formed by the retina. So, the retina, it is a thin, delicate internal layer of the eyeball. On the posterior side, it is continuous with the optic nerve. On its outer surface, it is firmly adhered with the choroid, whereas in its inner surface, it is in the contact of the vitreous body or the vitreous humor. At the entrance of the optic nerve, here at this area, there is a one depressed structure, and this depressed area, it is known as a optic disc. So we will first separately drawing this retina, the structure of retina. How is the structure of retina? Like that. So at the entrance of the optic nerve, here on the retina, there is a one depressed area, and this depressed area, it is known as a optic disc. The diameter of the optic disc is 1.5 millimeter. There is no rods and cones in optic disc. That's why it is also known as a physiological blind spot. Okay, so what is the optic disc? Optic disc, it is a part of the retina just opposite where the optic nerve is entered into the retina, and here this depression, it is known as a optic disc. It is about 1.5 millimeter in diameter. There is no rods and cones present in this optic disc, and that's why it has a no relation with the function of the vision. That's why this area is also known as a physiological blind spot. The retina actually has a three different parts. So here is its optic part. Here in the connection of the ciliary body, it is a ciliary part, and here in the connection of the iris, this part is known as the iridial part. Okay, so the retina has a three different parts. The optic part in the relation of the choroid, then the ciliary part in relation of the ciliary body, and the iridial part in the connection of the iris. Okay, so rods and cones are only present, means the nervous tissue are only present in this optic part, means the function of vision is associated with this only optic part. There is no role of ciliary and iridial part in the vision. Okay, so this ciliary and iridial part are basically formed by the double layer epithelium. Here it is composed by the epithelium. There is a double cellular layer of the epithelium, and there is no nervous tissue present in the ciliary and the iridial part. They have no connection with the vision. Okay, so the function of vision is only associated with this optic part. Okay, so the optic part, it starts from the optic disc to the where it ends at the junction of the choroid and the ciliary body, means here. Okay, so this is this optic part. In this diagram we have only mentioned this optic part. So optic part starts from the optic nerve and it ends just behind the ciliary body. Okay, so only this optic part contains the rods and cones. Then here 3 millimeter lateral to the optic disc, there is another depression in this optic part of the retina, means 3 millimeter lateral. Means here there is a depression in this optic part of the retina, and this depression is known as a fovea centralis. Okay, here in this diagram also you can see here the fovea. Okay, so 3 millimeter lateral to the optic disc, there is a one depressed area, and this depressed area, it is known as a fovea centralis. Okay, the fovea centralis is yellow in color, and that's why it is also known as a yellow spot. Now in the fovea centralis, there is a further depressed area, and this depressed area is known as a macula lutea. What? It is known as a macula lutea. So if we draw here the macula lutea, so first of all, it is the optic part. Okay, here is the depressed area at the entrance of the optic nerve, and it is known as the optic disc. Okay, here 3 millimeter lateral. Here is the further one depressed area, and it is known as the fovea centralis. And in this fovea, there is one further depressed area, like that. So these further depressed area, it is known as a macula lutea. What? It is known as a macula lutea. So here in the macula lutea, only the cone cells are present. Only the cone cells are present in the macula lutea. So rods and cones, we first discuss about the rods and cones. They are the light receptors of the eye. Then the rods contain the special pigment called the visual purple, and due to the presence of this pigment, rods are sensitive to the dim light. Means they are active when the light is dim, and they have no relation with the identification of the color or the bright light. So the rods, they have the pigment, special type of the pigments are present. The name of the pigment is visual purple, and due to these pigment, the rods are sensitive to the dim light. Whereas the cones, they are not sensitive to the bright light and color. Okay, so what is the main difference of rods and cones? So rods, they have the special type of the pigment known as a visual purple, and due to this pigment they are sensitive to the dim light, whereas the cones, they are sensitive to the bright light and the color. The rods, next the location of the rods. So the rods are present in the periphery. Okay, in this all peripheral area, the rods are present, but they are not present in the fovea, the macula lutea. So rods not present in the macula lutea, present in peripheral area. Whereas the cones, they are present in macula lutea and they are also present in the peripheral area. Okay, so the rods are only present in the peripheral area, they are not present in the macula lutea, whereas the cones are present in the macula lutea and they are also present in the peripheral area, but mostly they are concentrated near the fovea. Okay, so this is the main difference of the rods and cones. So the fovea into the macula lutea, there is the presence of the cones. Okay, and they are responsible for the bright light and the color. So the maximum equity of the light is the maximum equity of the vision is present into the macula lutea. Okay, so let me review first what we have seen. So we have seen that the retina, it is the inner coat of, is forming the inner coat of the eyeball. It is a three parts. The optic part is ciliary part and the iridial part. On the posterior side, it is added with the optic nerve. Its outer surface is joined with the choroid, whereas its inner surface is in the contact of the vitreous body. Then at the entrance of the optic nerve, there is a depressed area. It is known as a optic disc. The optic disc, it has a 1.5 mm of diameter. The rods and cones are not present in this optic disc, and that's why it is a physiological blind spot or physiological blind area. Then 3 mm lateral to this optic nerve, there is a fovea. Okay, there is a further depressed area. It is known as a fovea, and it is yellow in the color, and that's why it is also known as a yellow spot. And in the fovea, there is a one further depressed area, and it is known as a macula lutea. The cones are present in the macula lutea, and that's why the maximum equity of the light is present is lies on the macula lutea. Okay, so the cones are present in the macula lutea and they are also present in the peripheral area, but they are mostly centered into near about the fovea. Then the rods are they have special type of the pigment which is known as the visual purple, and due to this pigment they are sensitive to the dim light. Means due to the rods we can see in the dim light. So the cones are present. The rods are present into this peripheral area, but they are not present into the macula lutea. Okay. Now the layers of retina. First of all, there is a pigmented cell layer, then rods and cones layer, then external limiting membrane, then external nuclear layer, external plexiform layer, internal nuclear layer, internal plexiform layer, ganglionic cell layer, nerve fiber layer, and finally internal limiting membrane. Okay, so these 10 layers are composed the retina. Retina has these 10 layers. First is the pigmented cell layer, rods and cones layer. Third is the external limiting membrane. Fourth is external nuclear layer. Fifth is external plexiform layer. Sixth is internal nuclear layer. Seventh is internal plexiform layer. Eighth is ganglionic cell layer. Ninth one is nerve fiber layer, and 10th is internal limiting membrane. Okay, so we have to remember this name: pigmented cell layer, rods and cones layer, external limiting membrane, external nuclear, external plexiform, internal nuclear, internal plexiform, ganglionic cell layer, nerve fiber layer, and the internal limiting membrane. Okay. Now the arteries of the retina. So the central artery is supplying the retina. Here is a one artery. The central artery is entering into the retina from this area, the optic disc. Then at the optic disc is divided into two parts: is superior branch and is inferior branch, and each branch has a two branches: nasal and temporal. There is also nasal and temporal. You must have to remember that this central artery, it is an end artery. This central artery, it is an end artery. It enters into the retina through the optic disc, and here it is divided into the two branches, the superior branch and inferior branch, and each branch is giving the two branches, the nasal branch and the temporal branch. Okay. These nerves are supplying to the all layers of the retina. Okay, but the rods and cones. Okay, we have already discussed that the rods and cones are nourished by the vessels present into the choroid by the diffuse method. Okay, the rods and cones are given nourishment by the vessels present in the choroid. Okay, so what is the clinical anatomy of the retina? So retinal detachment So retina mostly retains at this part in between this pigmented cell layer and with the other layers, means the pigmented cell layer is separated from the other layers, so it is known as a retinal detachment. Okay, so here we have completed the retina.